Okay, notice that the next one is different than the other two that we've done. What's different about this number that you don't see in the other two? Tully. Okay, so the others have 0 for the whole number. It's only a part of a number. If I had one whole, what percent would be one whole? 100%. So what if I have two whole? It's going to be 200 and some percent. So same thing. Decimals between the 2 and the 5. If I move it 2 places to the right, it's going to be what percent? 256%. So you're just moving the decimal 2 times. From a decimal to percent, it's going to be to the right. Now, if we do the other, we have a percent to a decimal, we are dividing. Because we know that 97% is the same as 97 over 100. You're dividing by 100. That means the decimal is going to be going to the left because it's smaller. So when I have the DP, I have a percent to a decimal means I'm going to the left times 2. So you're moving it twice. When you have a whole number for your decimal is at the end, 2 times to the left, 1, 2, 0, and 97 hundredths. If I have 9%, what is that going to equal as a decimal? It's going to be what? Hey, Brianna. Right. So you're going to move it twice. 0.09. It's going to be 9 hundredths. If I have 125%, changing that to a decimal, I'm going to move that decimal 2 places. Mason, what is my decimal equivalent going to be? On your paper, look at 125%. Put the decimal at the end. Move it 2 places to the left. What is the decimal equivalent? The decimal was after the 5. Now it's going to be between what 2 numbers? So it's going to be 1 and 25 hundredths as your answer. Questions? All right, next one. Turning the wheel. If I have fraction to a percent, what I think makes this difficult is you have choices. My choice is always to make it as easy as possible. One option could be you change it to a decimal and then change the decimal to a percent. But if I have a number on the bottom that I can easily change to 100, I'm going to do that because my answer is going to be on the top. Can I change 4 to 100?
Yes.
Okay, times what?
25.
So if I multiply both by 25, top number is going to be?
75.
And that's going to equal what percent?
75%.
If I had a number on the bottom I could not change to 100, then I would have to change it to a decimal and then move the decimal. And we do have some of those coming up. If I have 2/5, can I make that equal to 100?
Yes.
Times?
20.
So then 2 times 20 is?
40.
And that's going to equal?
40%.
So change fractions to numbers that have 100 for the denominator if possible. All right, turning the wheel. All right, I have percent to a fraction. We want to simplify if possible. So 9% is going to be what fraction, Clark? What over what?
9 over 100.
Good. So I put 9 over 100. This is where you want to remember those pairs that give you 100. Can I simplify 9 or 100? No. So that's simplest form. What am I going to put for 97%? Kalia, what is that going to equal? Jazir, what's it going to be?
97 over 100.
Can I simplify that? Nope, it cannot be simplified. Last one, I have 125%. How can I write that as a fraction? It's going to be what, Scott?
125 over 100.
Yes, what kind of fraction do we have?
100.
Okay, so you're going to change that, and that's going to pull out that whole number. So I have more than what I need. So that's where the whole number comes from. How many 100s are in 125?
100.
1. There's only 1. That's the whole number. Okay. What's left over?
25.
Out of? Can I simplify 25 hundredths to 1 and?
1 and 1 on
1 and 1/4. Questions? Right, turn again. So, for this, to go from a decimal to a fraction, what do you need to do? If you say it, you're giving yourself the place value, which is your denominator. So, how would I say this one? It would be what, Jazir?
6 over 100.
Yes. Now, if you're having difficulty with place values, this is something that you can do to help out. The ones place is in front of the decimal. If I put a 1 there, the place after it is going to be the, what number do you see? Tenths place. This would be the hundredths place. So that's a way that you can figure out your place value if you get stuck. Put a 1 over the ones place and then put zeros after to see what place value you're at. Can I simplify 6 over 100? Yes. Divide by 2. They're both even. 6 divided by 2 is 100 divided by 2 is 50.
350s.
If I have 48 hundredths, I'm going to put what over what? 48 over 100. What can I divide by?
8.
Wait, no. 8 is not a factor, but 4 is. All right, how many 4s are in 48?
12.
How many 4s are in 100?
25.
Questions? All right, so I have this next one. How am I going to write that as a fraction? It's going to be what? Annabeth? 1,000. Turn over your paper. So I have 125 over 1,000. Okay? What number can I divide into both? Think of a number I can do for both. Add line.
5.
That works, but think higher. Catherine.
125.
All right, so this fraction we're going to come up with is very important. Another one to memorize, and I'm going to hopefully give you a way to remember that. So, what's 125 divided by 125?
1.
How many 125s are in 1,000? Well, it can't be 10. Can it be 9? No, it has to end with a 0. Can't be 5. Has to end with a 0. Make a guess.
8.
All right, let's try 8. All right, what's 8 times 5?
40.
What's 8 times 2?
16.
Plus 4?
20.
What's 8 times 1?
8.
Plus 2?
10.
Does it work?
Yes.
Okay, so how many 125s are in 1,000?
8.
Now, how many of you have been to the place called the Dollar Tree?
Me?
Tell me how much things used to cost at the Dollar Tree. Okay, if you've been recently, it's no longer the Dollar Tree. How much does it cost now?
125.
If you remember 125, and that's an eighth, that could be very helpful. So if 1/8 equals 125 thousandths, and if you just remember 125 for an eighth, that could be very helpful. If I had 3/8, I don't have to do long division for that. If 1/8 is this, what could I do with 125 thousandths? Times 3. I think that's easier than doing long division. There you go. So if you remember every eighth is 125 thousandths, you can multiply by the different numerators. What about 5/8? What could I do? So take 125 thousandths times 5 instead of dividing 8 into 5. You can do that. You'll get the same answer. This is just a little bit faster. There's your answer. Using multiplication. Questions? Okay, so going back over. If I have 125 over 1,000, what fraction is it? 1/8. Remember, an 8 is 125 thousandths, like 125 cents is what you have to pay now at the Dollar Tree. Should be the 125 tree. Questions? All right, now we have a situation. Says fraction to a decimal, and I have eights. I can't change 8 to 100. What could I do? Jazir?
Divide by 2. Wait.
I have 7 eighths. I can't change it. Like 7 and 8, there's nothing in between to simplify to. That's in simplest form. How could I figure out the decimal? There's 2 different things we could do. It would be what? Scott? You can do it that way if you, I gave you a shortcut, but nobody's seeming to remember it. So, what am I going to put on the outside? What goes on the inside? Add a decimal and a 0. How many 8s are in 70?
7. 9. What, no, 8.
Okay. Third time's charm. 8 times 8 is?
64.
All right. What do you get when you subtract?
6.
Now what?
Add another desk.
How many 6s are in? 8s are in 60? 7. 7 times 8?
56.
What do you get when you subtract?
4.
Now what?
Another 0.
You all like to do all this work. I know it is. I tried to give you all a shortcut.
5.
All right, so what is it going to equal?
8 of 40. 0.85. No.
You should have it on your paper.
I can't.
You should have it on your paper. Not just copying. You should have what we did on your paper. So, you get 875 thousandths. Wouldn't this be easier? What could I do with 125 thousandths?
You can multiply by 7.
And you're done. Chandler, stop please. You could multiply 125 thousandths times the numerator 7 to get the answer. That works for eighths. Anytime you have an 8, you can take 125 thousandths and multiply it by the numerator. You don't have to do it that way. You can do it the long way if you want. If I have 4/5, changing it to a decimal, I could do long division. How many 5s are in 4?
1.
0.
I mean, yeah.
How many 5s are in 40?
8.
So it would be 8/10. Questions? Presley got all that written down. All right, so these are different ways of changing from one form to the other on the FDP wheel. Using that information, we are going to look at converting fractions, decimals, and percents. The fraction needs to be in simplest form. I've given you some helpful hints for that. If I have 15 hundredths, I have 15 hundredths as a decimal. What percent would that equal, Jalen? What percent am I going to put here? 15%. All right, this is in simplest form. Here is the percent. What is the decimal going to be for that? There you go. What is it going to be? Tully? Yep, I'm going to put 0 and 73 hundredths. You can put the 0 or not. I just put it, it's called a leading 0. If I have 39%, how would I write that as a fraction? It would be what, Holly? Okay, can I simplify that? Nope. It does not simplify. It doesn't have one of the factors for 100. How would I write the decimal for that? It would be what, Jazir?
39.
There you go. Notice I have a division sign with a line next to it. What number can I divide into 4 and 100 evenly, David? Okay, divide both by 4. What are you going to get for your simplified fraction? 1/25. Good. And how am I going to? I'd go back to where you had the 100. What percent is that going to be, Harlow? Good job. And what am I going to put for the decimal? Kalia? What's the decimal going to be, Luis?
0.4.
Raise your hand if you agree with 0.4. They don't agree with you. Why?
Because it's only forever.
It's not 4/10, it's 400. So how do I write that?
0.04.
You have 3 minutes to finish the chart. Can I help you on your notes? Do you know what to do? Can I help you on your notes? Changing fractions, decimals, percents. Do you need me to pull this down so you can see it? Good, honey. Where's your numbers? Something that could help with the simplifying is to, at the top, those are all the numbers you need to think of and try as far as simplifying. One of those works. Oh, you go like that. When we finish going over and completing this, we're going to glue our pages in and have the rest of the time to work on our ed puzzle and our homework. So if I have this as a decimal, what am I going to put as the percent? Huh? Did you get Miss Bull? Are you riding the bus home or are you getting picked up? Okay, so you want to see if somebody come pick you up? Okay. Can I go over this and then call the office so that way you don't have to ride the bus? Huh? Do you need to go get some water or go to the bathroom? Alright, what am I going to put for the percent, Santos? What percent? It's E. Find row E. Alright? Don't forget the percent sign. And what am I going to put for the fraction? Alright. F. I have 46%. What am I going to put for whichever one you want to do? Ashira, what am I going to do? Does that simplify? Mm-hmm. What number can I divide by? Has to be one of these numbers. Has to be one of these. That's why we put that list there. I didn't see a lot of people copying it. I guess you already knew it. Might be helpful to write it down if you're having trouble with this. What number goes into both? 2. So if I do 2, It's going to be what? How many 2's are in 4? How many 2's are in 6? Okay. How many 2's are in 100? 50. And what am I going to put for the decimal? How do you say this number? 46 hundredths. 46 hundredths. Questions? All right, I have 50 over 100. How can I simplify? I'm going to do what, Jazir?
Divide by 2. I mean 50.
50. What is it going to equal?
2.
What fraction?
2. Wait. 1/2.
1/2. What am I going to put for the decimal?
0.50.
Or 5/10. And what do I put for the percent?
50%.
50%. All right, I have this as a decimal. What is the percent for that? It's what, Ainsley? What's my percent? Or can you give me the fraction? Which one? Do you need to go? I got a call. Yes, I said I was going to, so they could call. I was going to see if Miss Bull could check you first. Make sure you don't have a fever. What can I? 6%? What am I going to put for the fraction? And can I simplify? Divide by? And that's going to equal? Aiden, make that the last time. Have a seat, please. What did I get? All right, 3 over 50. Next one, I've got 80%. How am I going to write that as a decimal? Annabeth? 0.80 or even just 8/10. What am I going to write for the fraction? And divide both by? And that's going to equal? Good. Last one, I had a lot of people saying, I can't think of anything that goes into both of these. I heard that from like 5 people. What can I divide by, Jalen? 2. They're both even. What's it going to equal? 13 over 50. What am I going to put for the decimal? And what can I put for the percent? Glue these in. This is 85A. This is 84B. You have 15 minutes for your egg puzzle. You're working on it. You're sleeping your way into 6th grade next year, and that's a shame. You're sleeping your way right there. It's not 1 and 1/4. It can't be 1 and 1/4. It's not 1 and 1/4. Miss Full said you could go see her. So go see Miss Full. Shh. Hold on. Hey, do you want to go see her or not? She said you could go. You need to walk there to see her. She's not coming to see you. Do you need to see her?